Welcome to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman, the podcast dedicated to helping you build the business of your dreams and live the life you always hoped for, with valuable and fun tips and info to make your life easier and more fun. And now, here's your host, a man who sprinkles metal shavings on his breakfast cereal just for fun, Jason Silverman.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Real Deal, Jason Silverman. I'm your host, Jason Silverman, and I'm thrilled to share some time with you today. As you know, I'm always on the hunt for interesting as well as super smart Real Deal guests, and I got to tell you, today is a home run. I want to introduce my listeners to somebody who's truly been there and done that, and I'm excited to pick his brain for both your benefit as well as mine as well. Now, for the folks who I work with in any of my coaching programs or through Powerful Words Character Development, All-Star Cheer sites, or the Jason's Army Mastermind Group, you know how much I focus on the importance of being focused and productive, right? Well, this show is going to help us to do just that. So today it's going to be my honor and privilege to share an amazing resource with you. You're going to love today's guest. He's got a ton of valuable information about what I consider to be one of the most important topics that, as anybody impacting the next generation, really needs to grasp and grasp well. So I want you to strap yourself in. Today's show is going to be a blast. As I'm sure you already know, I'm committed to helping business owners just like you to become more successful, enjoy your career more in general, make your life significantly more fun. As you know, we only get one ride on this merry-go-round, and we want to make sure it's one hell of a ride. Alrighty, boys and girls, it is now that time. I want you to stop surfing Facebook, put away your phone, your tablet, your dog, your cat, your spouse, your child, anything that might possibly distract you from today's show. You're about to get some great and immediately implementable information, and I don't want you to miss even a second of it. So, before we officially get going, let me give you a little bit of background about our special guest expert today. Dr. Edward, or Ned Hallowell, MD, is a child and adult psychiatrist, a New York Times best-selling author, a world-renowned speaker, and a leading authority in the field of ADHD. He's a graduate of Harvard and Tulane Medical School and the founder of the Hallowell Centers in Boston, Metro West, Massachusetts, New York City, San Francisco, California, and Seattle, Washington. He was a Harvard University Medical School faculty member for 21 years and now devotes his full professional attention to his clinical practice, lectures, and the writing of books. He's authored 20 books on various psychological topics, including attention deficit disorder, the power of human connection, the childhood roots of happiness in life, methods of forgiving others, dealing with worry, and managing excessive busyness. And folks, just as a personal note, the reason I was so excited about getting Dr. Hallowell on the line for you was, my children both have ADHD, and we went through, and one of the resources that's been life-changing to us was one of his books. And I knew how beneficial it was to us, and I know how beneficial it'll be to you. So, Dr. Hallowell, welcome to The Real Deal. I'm thrilled to have you today.
Thank you, Jason, and thanks for that really generous introduction.
Well, I appreciate it. Well, do me a favor, if you would, for those who haven't yet, and I do mean yet, had the opportunity of reading your books or hearing you speak, do me a favor, take a second, share your story with our listeners. What are you passionate about? What makes you tick? Who is Dr. Hallowell?
Well, that's a big question. I'm probably most passionate about my own children. I had a pretty rocky childhood myself, and so for me to give my kids the happy childhood I didn't have has really been the driving passion of my wife's life and my life. And they're now 27, 24, and 21, so they're on their way, but we're still very closely connected. And Lucy, Jack, and Tucker, they mean the world to us. And so that's my overriding passion. And I also, have a strong feeling about helping people who have this strange condition called attention deficit disorder. I have it myself. And I really see it as a trait, not a disorder. And I really feel strongly about making the world safe for people who have this, because they're the movers and shakers. They're the people who made this country great. And people who have this trait, if they manage it right, they're mega winners. They're the game changers. They're the entrepreneurs, the discoverers, the inventors. if they don't manage it right, it can be very dangerous. It's it's sort of like the analogy I use. It's like having ADD is you've got a Ferrari engine for a brain. You've got this incredibly powerful brain, but you have bicycle brakes. And so, I tell folks I'm a brake specialist. And if you learn to strengthen those brakes, you win races. But if you don't, you crash into walls and spin out on curves. The race car brain with the bicycle brake is in terms of my professional life, my driving passion, trying to help people understand it, manage it, and become winners. Because these kids and these adults and adults have it just as well, and they're the biggest undiagnosed group. They have it in them to become spectacular successes, or the prison population and the addicted population. And again, what makes this condition so interesting is that it can go one extreme way or the other. And with the right kind of help, you get the good outcome. But without that, you get the bad outcome.
I love this. This is again, it's so personal, and I think one of the coolest parts about the way you've articulated this, at least from what I've read, is there's still so much positivity here. This is not, oh, well, you have this thing and this is what you're going to learn to deal with. I love the aspect of the Ferrari brain. I think that's fabulous. And I see that in my own children. And I know that when I taught classes for years, I saw those kids and I'm thinking, wow, if we can just harness this in the right direction, this is going to be unstoppable. This will be fabulous. All right. So I want to dive in because I know that your time is crazy booked. So in your 20th, and that alone amazes me, in your 20th and latest book, Driven to Distraction at Work, How to Focus and Be More Productive, you detailing the underlying reasons why people lose their ability to focus at work. What are some of those reasons?
Well, we live in the age of distraction. It's the title of my podcast is Distraction, and this is the age of distraction. We're beset by interruptions, by messages, by we've all got our electronic device that we're glued to, and it's probably the biggest reason people underachieve at work. They are distracted, interrupted, and they don't sustain focus on any one task long enough to do it well. And so I'm always giving people some pointers on how to create boundaries and filters and not sort of give away your most precious assets, time and your attention, without wanting to. Don't be seduced into a habit I call screen sucking, where you just spend great gobs of time chasing down emails and texts and surfing the net, and instead try to every day commit yourself to sustained focus on some constructive task.
That makes a lot of sense. Definitely makes a lot of sense. I see tons out there, between magazines and all the self-help books. They all seem to offer solutions such as learn to manage your time better or make a to-do list. Why do you feel these recommendations don't necessarily, address the deeper, probably more underlying issues of distraction?
Well, because they don't get at what's really pulling you in another direction. You can have a list, but it's no use if you don't follow it. So the reason you don't follow it is you get pulled away and you deploy your attention with meaning to in ways that are not in your favor. So what you really want to regulate is where you put your attention, and really be intentional about it, where you put your attention. Otherwise, you won't follow your list. You won't reach your goals. You'll just keep zigzagging, screen sucking, and not following through and doing what you really want to do.
That makes sense. That totally makes sense. I know that you host now the Distraction podcast. Is this primarily something that might help folks in the business world to maybe get more focused and maybe learn how to, put the damn phone down? Like, who's this podcast for, I guess, is my question.
Well, it's really for everyone. It's, like I say, it's called Distraction because we live in the age of distraction. But the major antidote to distraction is connection. So the podcast, we have guests. Just yesterday, we had Dr. Oz. We're talking about connection to good health, and we have guests that talk on a wide range of topics that are relevant to all of us living in today's world. So it's not just about how to focus. We've had some shows on that, but I interview really interesting people. Interviewed experts on meditation, experts on family life. I mean, it's about all aspects of life and really how to develop meaningful connections to people, to places. I did a show on pets. I think everybody ought to have a dog. If you can possibly have a dog, get a dog. Dogs are God's great gift to this world, and yes, they do produce poops, but the poops are well worth it. They give you unconditional joy and love, and if you can possibly get a dog, get a dog. You'll never regret it. It's wonderful. So the podcast Distraction is wide-ranging and fun. We produce it twice a week. You can download it on iTunes or go to the website distractionpodcast.com.
Fabulous, folks. That this is a no-brainer. Get yourself there immediately. All right, so you've got 4 Hallowell centers in Boston, New York City, Seattle, San Francisco that focus on your strength-based approach. Would you mind just take a second? What does strength-based mean, from your perspective, and how does it benefit people?
Sure. The term attention deficit hyperactivity disorder is an abomination. It's a terrible term. It's just dripping with pathology. I mean, who wants that? Deficit disorder? I mean, I've got it. I don't want to say to someone, I've got a deficit disorder. It's like I've got a bad brain, and it's just simply not true. People with this trait are typically creative, original. They think outside the box. They're the entrepreneur, the visionary. They're usually very sensitive and deep. They're very generous and giving. They can be unpredictable, to be sure, but that's part of creativity, is being a little bit impulsive, being a little bit unpredictable, having somewhat weak breaks. So the strength-based approach says, look, in this kind of brain, there are tremendous strengths, and it's my job to find those strengths. And sure, we'll encounter some problems that we need to deal with, but we're really all about turning folks into champions, that finding the strengths in this trait and promoting those, and while at the same time shoring up the weaknesses and the problems. But people come out of my office saying, look, I've got a Ferrari engine for the brain. That's a strength. And so they're excited. They're proud. I tell people I have ADD. I wouldn't trade it for the world. So instead of saying I've got a deficit disorder, you say, no, I've got a Ferrari. I just got to strengthen my brakes, and then I'll win races. And that's the truth. I mean, I've been doing this for 35 years, so I really know it inside and out. And that's what happens. That's the truth. It's a wonderfully positive story.
Well, let me ask a question that I believe that the coaches listening to this call need to hear the answer to. For those out there who are, coaching our youth, whether they're a teacher, an instructor, a coach, and they realize somebody probably has some version of ADD, ADHD. Is there something that they themselves should be looking at or thinking of so that they can actually coach them a little bit more appropriately or effectively? Is there something?
Sure. Now you're talking about coaching on the playing fields, right?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Yeah. First of all, the best thing in the world someone with ADD can do is exercise. So you coaches, you're critically important. It's wonderful. They're out there playing a sport. It's really good, not only for their body, but for their brain. And these kids they're just, they're born to be athletes. Now, what they need is structure. So, and if they tune out, don't think they're doing it on purpose. If they, lose track of how many outs there are playing right field or something, don't think that they're being careless and doing it on purpose. That's just the way their brain is. Rick Fox, who played professional basketball, I diagnosed him, and what he said, he went back and told Dean Smith, his coach at UNC, and Dean Smith said, "Oh, now I understand why you just disappear in the middle of a game. It was your ADD. It's not that you had a bad attitude. Your brain would just fog out." And so you coaches know that. And so just bring them back by calling at them. Come on, get back in the game, and don't get mad at them. They're not doing it on purpose. But they need a lot of structure, a lot of reminders, and they'll work their tail off for you. So have them challenge them, have them do, sprints, whatever it is, run them ragged, and their brain loves it. The more, the better. But just give them encouragement and structure, and then work them as hard as you possibly can, and they'll really love it. They're anything but lazy. They'll be your hardest worker. They just need a lot of reminders and structure, and just keep on them, and they'll do. Marcel Darius, who was number 3 draft choice, now plays for the Buffalo Bills, big time ADD, and so they can achieve it at very high levels, and coaches are tremendously important for them, because oftentimes they're not getting the kind of encouragement they need in the classroom, and if they can get it on the playing field, they can change their life forever. So you coaches occupy a very special role in these kids' lives.
Wow, that's a goosebumper as far as I'm concerned. So you've written 20 books. Do you see yourself authoring more books in the future?
Oh, yeah. I have numbers 21 and 22 in progress right now.
Wow.
One is a memoir, which I've never written anything like that before. And the other is a new book about ADD with really presenting the strength-based model front and center, which I've not done before. It's going to be recasting it as a trait, not as a disorder. And really excited about both of them.
I can't wait to read them both. That'll be fabulous. Can you suggest, the single most important attribute that a person really in the business world, so now I'm talking about the owners rather than just the coaches, what's the most important attribute that person would have that they would need to possess, and why? To
do well in business?
Correct.
Well, you want to work in what I call your sweet spot, and that's the overlap of 3 circles. What you're really good at doing, what you really love to do, and what someone will pay you to do. So you want to put yourself in that, and then you want to put the people who work for you or with you in that. And it's a very important strategic decision that a lot of people don't think about. They just do what they're told, or they just jump in and try to do everything. And that's understandable, but it's not going to get you the best results. You really want to put yourself strategically, that overlap, what you really like to do, what you're really good at doing, or what will advance the mission or someone will pay you to do. The more time you can spend there and have all the people who work with you or for you spend there, the more successful your operation will be.
So it's brilliant. I love actually having a structure for that as well. All right, it's time for our resource of the week. So, Dr. Hallowell, tell me this. How can my listeners find out more about you and really how you're going about changing the world?
Sure. Well, you can listen to my podcast, which we put out twice a week, and you can download it on iTunes. The name of it is Distraction, or go to the website distractionpodcast.com. There are my books, and just go to Amazon, Edward Hallowell, and you'll see all the books that I've written. My website, which is Dr. Hallowell, no period, just Dr. Hallowell, HALLOWELL.com. And all of those resources are free or minimal. The books are not very expensive. So the podcast is free, the website is free, and the books are cheap. So all the information is right out there.
Well, for what it's worth, there is definitely no correlation between what I've paid for your books and the extreme value that I've received from them. So, folks, I would implore you at the very least to read Driven to Distraction. Even just to understand that one kid, if it's not you, if it's not your own, at least that one kid, you have a better insight as to what's going on. I promise you, your paradigm will shift immediately. So, all right, Dr. Hallowell, I always like to end my podcast with one very telling question. So, if you could give business owners just one solid piece of advice to either help their business or, more importantly, to help them live a better, more balanced life, what would that piece of advice be?
That's a wonderful question. One piece of advice. So many pieces of advice. I guess the one piece of advice would be always look for the best in other people and in yourself. In your business, in your situation, always look for the best. We get so sidetracked into problems and complications and dilemmas and bad news. Don't lose sight of that bright light. Don't lose sight of the best. And a corollary bit of advice is when you are worrying, never worry alone. Don't get isolated. Worrying is actually good if you worry with someone. We call that problem solving. But worrying alone, that's when bad things happen. That's when you get immobilized. That's when you globalize, catastrophize, do stupid things. So those would be my 2 bits of advice. Look for the best. Don't lose sight of the best in others and in yourself. And never worry alone.
That is brilliant. Dr. Hallowell, thank you so much for joining me today. I know how busy your schedule is. It means the world to me that you share some of your time and your wisdom with us. This has been fabulous.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been my pleasure. You're doing great work, and it's an honor to be with you.
Thank you, sir. Folks, that's all the time we've got today. Thanks so much for tuning in to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. For more info about private coaching or to see if you benefit from one of my mastermind groups, visit me over at www.jasonmsilverman.com. I look forward to helping you achieve the success that you truly deserve. Until next time, let me leave you with this. Get out there and be the real deal. Set a goal, make a plan, work like hell towards it, and achieve the success that's waiting for you. Now's the time. Get out there and make it happen. This has been Jason Silverman, and I hope you have a spectacular week.
You've been listening to The Real Deal with Jason Silverman. To access the great resources mentioned in the show and for information on coaching and mastermind group opportunities with Jason, please visit jasonmsilverman.com.